Wemby is out in the NBA. Luka comes up big for the Lakers. We've got NFL news. And is the All-Star game over? Have they outlived their usefulness? This and more next on Good Sports. Thanks for joining us. I am your host, Randy Goode, and I am excited to talk to you tonight. We've got the NFL is now past. It is over right now. We're in the off season, so we'll be looking forward to the NFL draft coming up. But we got a lot of stuff going on in the NBA and other sports. But first, if you have yet to do so, please hit that subscribe button. Please do so. Just quickly hit it. Like, if you want to add some comments, we'd love that. We'd love to hear your different topic ideas or your thoughts on some of the things we talk about, and we really appreciate it. And we try to comment on some of those, and so we'd love to see that. But today we have a full house. We are joined again by Trent, as usual. Sneed here. He's here to join us. We got behind the scenes. We've got Cameron Harkleroad, and we got Drew Goode. So we got everybody here.
Is that my basketball name? You know how like in NBA 2K, Cameron, they always had like the little nicknames you'd put in between their names. It was like
Trent,
the usual Sneed.
Trent.
It's like what was
Trent
the
usual.
ones that were
the
always
regular
popular?
Sneed.
There was a bunch of them. Like there was the assassin or like
The natural.
The
That's the one I
Natural,
always
yeah.
picked. It's like
I
'cause
always
you're my player. It was like Trent the natural Sneed.
Well,
I always picked the Doc because
Oh, that's good.
in my when I was in high school for basketball, my passing was always my like strong suit, and people would like compare it to like Doctor Strange portals.
Oh yeah.
So like
I love that.
yeah.
Well,
The Doc.
Well, since you just had your birthday this last week, you get your own nickname in the middle. So it's a special week for you. So happy birthday week to you.
Yeah, you're pushing 30, man. How you
Pushing
feel?
30.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is like I was telling a parent the other day. I was like, yeah, it's weird, you know, like when I first started working with the youth, I used to connect really easily. You know, I'd be like, I've heard that lingo before.
Mm-hmm.
Now I say stuff and people are like, ew.
Ew.
I'm like, yeah, that's really cool, and they're like, gross.
That's awesome.
I'm like, man, am I getting to that age now where I don't understand?
Yes, you are.
That's crazy.
Listen, aging is not a problem. It's no big deal. I stopped counting a long time ago. So first we're going to talk about the NBA. Luka, who has joined the Lakers, had a slow start, wasn't in a lot of games, so he hasn't had too much to be there for. But one of the things that has been the Lakers' nemesis is Denver.
Yeah.
And Denver, every game, pretty much the last couple years, the Lakers at halftime go in with the lead, and they come out with a loss.
Yeah.
And it happens almost every time. And here in this game, Luka stepped up, almost had a triple-double, a few assists short, 32 points, but he played spectacular. He was doing his step-back three. He was doing everything. And what was interesting is he was kind of the main man in this game. So not only did he help overtake Denver, I mean, they thumped them. They thumped Denver pretty good by 23. It's just one game. But the question I have for you is, going forward, if they're going to succeed in the playoffs and you're coming down the stretch, who should be in charge? Are the Lakers better with LeBron in control or Luka? What do you think?
I mean, quickly, it's definitely Luka.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is you're talking Luka, who carried Kyrie to a finals matchup, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he can carry LeBron to a finals matchup, imagine how much more dangerous that is. I'm not saying that Luka is nowhere near the specimen that LeBron James is. It is what it is. But LeBron's, he's 40-something years old.
Right.
And the wear and tear that man's going to experience. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be games where LeBron takes over in his own way or shape or form.
Right.
But I think if you're going to say who am I working my offense around, I would probably say Luka at this point, just because he's going to be more reliable at his younger age.
Yeah.
For the next coming years.
Yeah.
And then you let LeBron come in there and do what he needs to do to be a part of that offense.
Yeah. And LeBron played well in the game. He had 25. I mean, he was not far from a triple-double either. But I think Luka right now, I mean, you're talking top 2, 3 best players in the league. LeBron's a little bit below that. I mean, he's at his age. He's still incredible.
He's had an awesome season. Like
He
this,
has.
This year, he's actually played at a much higher level
Yeah.
than even the past 2-3 years.
I just wonder in the playoffs, do you think LeBron will be okay?
Yeah, but
20
they need to limit
seconds
him
to
a little
go.
bit.
20 seconds to go. They're down 1,
Hmm.
and you're ISOing Luka
Yeah.
versus LeBron. Is
It depends
LeBron
on what
okay
you ne-
going off the ball?
It depends on what you need, though.
Yeah,
If I need 2 points to win,
yeah,
I'm probably not taking Luka.
yeah.
I'm probably going to let LeBron do what LeBron does.
Hmm.
But if you need a 3, I mean, his 3-point percentage, LeBron's 3-point percentage isn't Luka's.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm probably going to have Luka take that shot in that point.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, listen, this is all great news for them. This is
Yeah.
all great news for them, no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't think in either of those players I would pick in that scenario. I'm
I thought
being
you were a
so
Luka
honest.
fan, Cam.
No. Well, not necessarily. I'm not
Okay.
not a fan. I'm just in that scenario. Oddly enough, I think I'd
Austin
pick Austin
Reeves?
Reeves.
Well, you're talking 2 different things. You wouldn't have Austin
I was
Reeves with the
talking that scenario
Oh,
of
okay.
and last 20 seconds. We need points. I'm probably picking Austin
Hey,
Reeves.
Reeves cold. He is cold.
AR-15, man.
AR-15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no, he's good.
we'll see. I
Just
just
the truth.
the egos that you have to be an NBA player.
Yeah.
To get there, you have an ego at some degree,
Yeah.
right? And then to call yourself the king.
Yeah.
And then if you're in the playoffs and you're bringing the ball up the floor forever, and now you let somebody else do it, that would be really hard. I don't care who you are if you end up not being that player. And I'm interested. I want to see that moment. And what do the Lakers do?
Yeah, but okay.
Because
I will say this though, Luka, he's a little unproven for someone who's had to have the offense worked around a different player. Like in Luka's time in the NBA for the Mavericks, he's been the go-to guy, right?
yeah,
And they've worked the offensive around Luka in his time in the NBA. I mean, there's a short stint when he was first proving himself to who he was, but what I would say is there's a large history of LeBron working himself around other players. I mean, the offense of him, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh wasn't great. They was not a great matchup, or sorry, a great team.
they didn't win the first year.
They
because
didn't
of
win
it.
the first year
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah.
It took them a while to figure out what they were doing, but LeBron in his history has done a pretty good job
Yeah,
at working himself around his teammates and
Yeah.
his players. I mean, even like the Kyrie, Kevin Love years in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good example. And then him with Anthony Davis and a bunch of young talent in the Lakers during the COVID season. Yeah, I mean, I would just say I think LeBron's more experienced at working himself around others. I just feel like at this point, it's in their best interest to take the younger guy who is already a proven star, work the offense around him, and then let LeBron and Austin Reeves play their part in that.
I think what they're going to do this year is LeBron will bring it up in those situations, and they're either going to do a screen and roll, and it'll get back to Luka with 10 or 15 seconds to go, or they're going to let LeBron kind of run the show and have Luka off to the side can shoot the 3 and be productive, getting that catch and shoot. LeBron's that's not his strength. And so if you have LeBron be out at the 3-point line and you have Luka kind of driving and kicking, you're totally taking his strength, LeBron's strength, and getting rid of it. The other way it can work, but I think going forward after this year, I think the baton is being passed off to
Luka is a point guard, so you got to let him
is.
be a point guard.
That's why I'm wondering if what they'll do is
270-pound point.
yeah. I'm wondering if they're going to do a screen and roll and kind of see, does LeBron have a break to the basket? If not, he gets it back to Luka, and then Luka has his.
I heard someone say that he's already lost a little weight though. I don't know.
He wasn't
that's-
actually 270. It was just
Yeah,
that's the
I know.
joke.
That was the
I know, but I did see someone.
water weight in Dallas.
I
That's
did
what that
see
was.
someone announce that he has lost a little weight already since he's been in LA.
That's awesome.
Which I wouldn't doubt. I mean, I would just say not even the LeBron factor would be the reason he maybe's lost a little weight. I would just say in general the rejuvenation of knowing that there's a possibility they can get back to the finals and win the finals and they're in
Yeah.
serious contention probably has rejuvenated
It do-
LeBron a little bit.
it does
also
it.
Luka.
When Shaq left the Lakers, every year he never came into the season healthy and in shape. When he arrived for his first conference there, and all the fans were there in Miami, he was ripped.
Yeah.
And it does something when you go to a new scenery. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. So, Cameron, who do you think at the end of a game, there's 15 seconds to go, who do you have making the decision with the ball? Would you have LeBron in the playoffs, or would you have Luka
Making the decision.
making the decision? He has
the
it,
ball up.
whether he shoots it or he passes it. Who's in charge?
LeBron. He has
LeBron.
way more game knowledge, way more game sense. I think he's a better. He can see better than Luka can. I mean, he's not a point guard, but you can't argue with just the amount of experience and years that he has on Luka. He knows the game better.
Yeah. So and in those moments,
But
even
that
though
doesn't
Luka
necessarily mean that Luka won't get the ball.
Yeah.
But I would just rather have LeBron being the one seeing the court.
That's fair. 100%
Yeah.
It's like comparing right now Tom Brady to Jalen Hurts. Yes, Jalen Hurts right now can play football better and is faster, stronger, all that. But if we're just doing like a simple pocket pass, shotgun pass, I would rather have Tom Brady in the back seeing the field than Jalen Hurts.
Right. Yeah.
No, that 100% makes sense. And I think for the most part, I mean, LeBron's one of the greatest passers of all time.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, like I
he
said,
sees it well.
I think Luka sitting at the 3-point line and playing off the ball can do more in that last second and shoot than LeBron can. So if you have Luka with the ball, you kind of lose LeBron.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So, all right. The other thing in the NBA that was big, Wemby gets right out of the All-Star game, gets some horrible news. San Antonio makes a trade to kind of make a run. And, I mean, I guess that's secondary, but they did make a trade, which just the timing for that organization was pretty rough. But he has a blood clot in his right shoulder.
Yep. And they must have not known.
No,
ahead of
he
time.
wasn't feeling well, and he still didn't feel well for a little bit. And they
You don't make that trade if you
No.
know. Yeah.
No. Oh, no, you don't. And so what do you think? Do you think he's going to be able – they're trying to make it sound like he's going to be able to come back, and they think he'll be fine.
I think we don't know enough about the issue of why he has a blood clot yet.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We know what it is.
Okay, go ahead, Cam.
It is the same type of blood clot that Chris Bosh had.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the same thing that ultimately led to Chris Bosh not being able to play in the NBA anymore.
Wow. And is it based on the height thing?
I think it's a height thing.
Okay.
It's the problem with your heart. Your heart doesn't pump enough blood.
It's got so
basically too
far to
small.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a giraffe.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
You know, I come from, this is before your guys' time. I believe it was in 1990.
Oh, gosh.
Hank Gathers
Wow.
was in college by far the best basketball player. And he was averaging in college basketball. If you look, typically the leading scorer is maybe 25 points a game because the game is shorter than the NBA.
Did they
And
broadcast games at
They
then?
did. Yeah, I was in
Okay.
color too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But at Loyola Marymount, Hank Gathers was a phenom like you hadn't seen in a long time. They were getting 120, 130 points. They were running. They would score within 4 or 5 seconds. And he actually was playing against Portland State. This is the second time in the same division, or University of Portland, excuse me. And he goes up for a dunk, and he's averaging almost 35 points a game or something like that,
goodness.
33 points a game, which is unheard of in college basketball. Even still, you do not see that. And he goes up and dunks, takes one step, drops, and dies right on the court.
Oh, my gosh.
And this was when they were at home against University. I was actually because Loyola Marymount was so big at the time, our whole basketball team went and watched him play University of Portland home. And so when they went on the road, he just died right on the court, and they said he was dead before he hit the ground.
Wow.
And so you can go back and watch, it's just sad. I mean, he was huge. And so whenever I think of blood clots, it's scary.
Mhm.
You know, he, like I said, he just dunks it, takes a step, dies.
Wow.
No one touches him. And it's just, so you hope there's nothing like that. Hopefully they can find it, fix it. I mean, 21 years of age there's been a few people that have come back with blood clots. So I don't know what the difference is between those and what he has.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Bosh came back, but it's one of those things where like you're high risk now
Yeah.
because once you
Yep.
get them,
Yeah.
you can't really like get rid of them.
With his age though in medical science, I'm sure they're gonna build. He'll play basketball at least again. This just might be a precursor to how long his career is, though.
Yeah, they're saying, and he's so tall too. So when you talk about tall and lengthy, he's massive. So
It's so crazy too
Just
because he's
sad.
one of the like if you ever hear about like what he does outside the court, he's just one of like the chillest dudes. Like before every game, he reads.
he reads.
He goes to bed at 9 p.m. every night.
Really?
I wonder if
Like-
he's reading the same book AJ. Brown
Yeah.
was.
He needs to watch good sports. We need to get that publicity. So no, he also, I've heard that he's an extremely hard worker, a rare young guy that works really, really hard. And man, you just hope that he's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you know he's going to want to play. They're saying that they think he'll come back, but they're always going to say that.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of hard workers, I know Cameron, he just referenced this a little bit, so I know Cameron knows this story, and we don't have it on the docket to talk about today. But did you see the Anthony Edwards Obama?
Yes, I was gonna. talk about
Oh,
that.
it's so good.
So funny, dude.
Obama's like, who's this kid? And he's like, I'm the truth.
I'm the truth.
And then he's like, hey, LeBron, hey, LeBron, is this kid the truth? And he's like, yeah, he's the truth.
Yeah, he's the truth. Yeah.
I loved him in the,
Oh, it was so good.
I loved
Yeah,
him
but
in the Olympics.
It's so funny because Anthony Edwards was just talking to Obama like he was just some regular guy,
Yeah.
like just some nobody. He's like, no, like you. He was basically like pressing Obama.
Yeah.
And it was like, bro, what are you doing?
I don't think Obama's ever been talked to that.
No.
Yeah.
Talked like that.
He was
That's
like-
Edwards. That's
it threw him so off, and he basically like called LeBron like he was like Anthony Edwards' dad.
Yeah.
Like, yo, LeBron, get your kid, man. What are you? What's going on?
It was so funny. And the funny thing is, like, KD's standing there. Anthony Davis is standing there. And Obama's just like, he's like dumbfounded the way this kid's talking to
Do you
him.
know who I am?
Yeah, that's
Like,
what basically
yeah.
what it is. I mean, because like
Yeah.
Obama's like what, in his early 50s now?
Yeah.
Is he early 50s?
60.
He's closer to. I think. He's
No, he
around
was 40 when he took over the presidency.
No,
presidency,
I
right,
think
isn't he?
he's about 60.
Oh, okay. Anyways, he was one of the youngest presidents of all time.
Yeah.
Anyways, and there's just Anthony. He's what? 63. Okay. So he's 63 years old, and then there's Anthony Edwards. He's just sitting there. He's like what, 23, 24?
It's just-
24.
Yeah, and he's just talking to him like some random stranger you meet off the streets.
That's what I love about Anthony Edwards. Last year when
He truly doesn't care.
no, he doesn't. And when he was in the Olympics last year, he was just sitting there talking about, no, they need to give me the ball. I'm starting, and they need to give me the ball. In crunch time, I'm the guy. You know, he's just that guy loves, as Tio says, he loves him some me. Yeah. So anyway, well, let's move on to the NFL. I came across the clip this week, and Drew, if you can show it, but I thought it was interesting. So they had the war room of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll tell you, in this season, we love watching the NFL. We all love it, but the reason the Chiefs have been there is you got to have a GM and whatnot that hires the right coach, and you got to get the right quarterback, and you got to get the right players. And obviously Kansas City has done very well at that. The Eagles are at about the top of the level with that. They hire the right people. And it was cool. They kind of show behind the scenes when they're doing the draft room about how much they wanted Cooper DeJean. And it was cool to watch them, and they're sitting there kind of sweating bullets. They're like, okay, we got 2 picks. We got 1 pick before. And when they got him and the Rams took Fisk, they were so excited, and it was just cool to see. And so I loved watching the whole behind the scenes. My question for you, if you as a fan could go to watch your team play in the Super Bowl, would you rather go to that or be in the draft room to see all the behind the scenes things, to see who's on the boards and all that kind of stuff? What would you rather do?
Okay, so I actually thought about this deeper,
Okay.
and it'd be different if you're offering like sideline passes to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Because this is the thing, is like we've talked about going to the Super Bowl a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we've talked
Yeah.
about going to the Super Bowl in the 3 last years.
Yes.
You know?
Next year, we're going to Levi. We're taking all of us. We're going to go to Levi and then watch it in a hotel room.
But this has been my argument every single time we've talked about going to the Super Bowl. We're going to pay $15,000 to sit in the nosebleeds.
Per ticket, yeah.
And you're not even going to see the game that
No.
well. And then you're going to be like, oh, we won the Super Bowl. You're going to be excited. And we don't drink.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do after the
Right.
game? We're going to go enjoy, the crowd coming out of the game, and they're all excited and fun. But, everyone's going to be hammered by that time. We're probably going to get annoyed pretty quickly with how many crazy things are going on.
Right.
And then we're probably just going to go home.
Right.
So you don't really get that great of a view of the game.
Right.
And then you don't even really get to celebrate the situation afterwards.
Right.
Because people are way too far gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, it'd be cool to be there. The only big part that'd be really cool is if you were there right before the game and doing that, tailgating right before,
Sure.
That would be kind of cool. But obviously, if you were sideline, that's a completely different. Then you got 2 pluses versus 2 minuses, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy through and through. I love the draft. We've talked about the draft a lot. And we will continue to probably talk about the draft on this podcast just because it's so interesting to see how teams grade players. And it's, the thing is you truly win football games in the offseason.
Absolutely.
Going back to Kansas City, you don't get a chance to win 3 Super Bowls without drafting extremely well because you can't sign everybody and pay everybody.
Yep.
So if you can't draft well, you're not going to keep going back, right?
Yep.
And anyways, for me, it's so interesting to watch how these GMs, owners, and they're right there with each other, the coaches, all there, and how they grade these players is just so cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I would love to go to the draft. To me, and unless it was some ridiculous Super Bowl passes, like you say.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go to the Super Bowl. Thing about the Super Bowl is I can watch it from my couch and I get a zoomed in version of the whole game. And it's comfortable. You don't have to worry about the weather and all that kind of stuff. The week would be cool to be a part of the Super Bowl, but the draft would be awesome. Yeah. It would be cool to see the trades that are made and that were almost made and that were not made.
Yeah.
Watching teams hope for a player to drop, and how many teams don't make a trade up and that player gets picked right before them, or how many teams trade more than they need to trade up when they could have just got their same player at the same position. I just think that chess match. I think the other thing is, I've gone on NFL draft chart about 4,000 times.
Oh yeah.
And everybody puts their GM hat on and says, okay, if we traded this for this and this for this and this for this. And so anyway, I would definitely do a draft war room. That would be a dream for me to do that. I'd sign my life away saying I'll never say anything that you ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to do that. Cameron, what about you? Would you rather go to the war room or to your team's Super Bowl?
I think both would be cool, but like you were saying, I think it depends on the seating for the Super Bowl. I personally, man, I don't know. I feel like with the Super Bowl, it would be fun, but like you were saying, I could watch it at home and get the same experience.
Yeah.
And then with the draft, I don't know. If I didn't prepare at all and like they just threw me in the room and I know nothing about any of these kids,
That wouldn't be fun.
they're just throwing names at me and I don't know anything, So unless I'm like super invested in college football, which usually I'm not, that's not going to be like a huge like this is so cool type thing.
Yeah.
But if I was to know that I was going to go there and was able to prepare a little bit, I think I would enjoy the draft more.
Yeah. I think there's been times where, so when Jerry Rice was drafted, there was like 3 receivers, I think, at the time. And so the 49ers were at a spot and they're kind of moving into certain selections. And a lot of these teams are like, okay, we know there's 3 good receivers, so we're going to be okay as long as we get to pick 11 because we're at 13 or 14 and we'll take whoever's left over. And then to see where they fall after the fact would be cool. I also, there's been many times where teams, you know, they're sweating bullets, especially earlier on. We really, like Cooper DeJean, they really wanted him.
Yeah.
And to see the enthusiasm as soon as they pick Fisk, they're like, yes,
Yeah.
we got him. And you look, pick 6 in the Super Bowl made the biggest, a huge difference for them. And then you've got to see where, just to watch the whole aura of the mood change when that player gets picked right before you.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we're going to go with Tommy instead.
Yeah.
That's great. And they kind of do their fake clap afterwards and say, crap, we should have given up the 5th round pick to move up. Anyway.
It's really cool in the fact that, like, with, like, the Cooper DeJean one specifically, they actually talked about the fact that they took Quinyon Mitchell in the 1st round, and they actually felt so strongly about Cooper DeJean, they tried to move back up into the 1st round that night to go get Cooper, and they were like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, they went home, and every single person came back, and they're like, we couldn't sleep right last night thinking about letting Cooper DeJean not get picked.
Wow.
And they were like, we have to move up early in the 2nd round, which they did. They moved up, 8 picks into the 2nd round, 9 picks in the 2nd round. But what's really cool about the Cooper DeJean and the Rams taking Braden Fisk is now we look back and Braden Fisk ends up being almost a defensive player of the year.
Yep.
So does Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
So you have 2 teams where it's like, the Eagles are all excited because they took Braden Fisk and not Cooper DeJean. But what the Eagles don't know is Braden Fisk actually ends up almost winning defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Or rookie defensive player of the year. And it's just a cool thing,
Well, that's the other thing that's cool about the draft is you look, those are 2nd round picks that were, if you redrafted, would be picked massively higher, both of those picks.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's fun about watching is which player is picked 1, 2, or 3 that should have gone in the 3rd, 4th round, maybe don't play very much, and which ones in the 3rd, 4th round would have gone in the 1st round. And so it's fun to watch. I think it's remarkable. So I love the draft. I love the behind the scenes. I would just love to see how people are hoping and where people. I'd also love to see if they're watching the broadcast because every year there's a couple teams where people are like, what is Atlanta thinking paying Cousins that much money and then taking a rookie quarterback, and just seeing what their reaction would be. Like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. We're doing that. I would love to see the back and forth.
Yeah.
So anyway, also in the NFL, wanted to talk about the old 49ers linebacker. I don't understand sometimes what people are thinking, but Devondre Campbell, he finally responds. He's the 49er linebacker, backup linebacker that was pouting on the sideline, and he quits during the middle of the game because Greenlaw, who is much, much better than him, comes back and takes his starting position. And then when Greenlaw, is struggling and he's hurting, they go to make a sub, and Devondre Campbell just quits in the middle of the game. He finally came out and said some stuff, and I wanted to get your guys' reaction. He had a lot to say without saying too much, a lot of expletives. He says he knows the truth, and he doesn't care to clean anything up. He ripped retired players who had criticized him, and he said, and he was addressing the fact that he says, I am rich and never have to work another day in my life. I play because I want to. And apparently the rumor is that he said something before the 49ers took him, which I have a hard time thinking that any team in the NFL would actually take somebody that said stuff like this. What are your thoughts of Devondre Campbell? Just what's your opinions on him now? Do you think, is he just a bad dude and just stupid? Or is there something going on there that's deeper? Because he doesn't make any sense to me. He looks so... Quitting is about one of the worst things you can do. He just quit on his team. I think that's about as low as it goes. And he has all this time to think about it. He says nothing, and he basically says, I'm rich, I don't care, screw you.
I'd like to know who his agent is because they're not doing a great job.
Former agent.
That
would be my guess.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he needs an agent anymore.
Imagine if this guy's agent was Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah.
Oh, Drew would be rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like are you even gonna get a chance to play on a football team next year?
Yeah, I think he's set. He's done. He's basically said, "I'm done."
He's retiring.
I don't know that it's a choice. There's no team that will ever take him again.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
Raiders
no way.
might.
Huh?
Raiders might.
Pete Carroll won't take him.
I mean, yeah. I guess after so many months, you have so much time to recite what you're gonna say when you get this question asked, because
Yeah.
you know it's gonna get asked.
Why not have some prepared something that says, I was at a bad place, mentally. It's been a long season. I wish I could have done things differently. Like he's willing to say, I don't care about relationship with any football player that I've ever had. I'm done.
Yeah.
Screw you all. I'm rich.
Yeah, even if you don't feel that way, though, just say it.
I know.
It's CTE.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. The deeper thing.
I mean, you see it. You see it in Antonio Brown. You see it in Chandler Jones. I mean,
I'm wondering
it's a
if there's
serious
something
thing
there.
that we don't take serious enough, and we don't really take into account like how important your brain is in
Mhm.
these sports. And it shows in players like Tua just having 4 concussions and being like, "Oh, I don't really care. I'm
know.
gonna go out and play still.
Yeah.
I love this game." So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, well, you're gonna die. So how
Yeah.
does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's something there. Just does. That's what I was meaning by something deeper, because it's just really sad. He's lost. Nobody respects him. The 49er locker room, they were all done with him. They go, I don't ever want to see anybody in my, and so hopefully there can be something good that can come from this. What would be neat is if there is a situation like that, whether it's a mental health or a from concussions, that it could come out and he could be a voice for something that could be of something good. Because right now it's just bad. It's just terrible. He just comes across as a huge idiot.
It won't. It won't happen, because if the NFL seriously took CTE, like if they took it seriously, it would be flag football.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose the aspect that makes football football.
Yep.
If they really
can't do it.
They can't.
They've got to fake like they care.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So they basically, what happens is they just let those players kill themselves on
Yep.
social media.
Mhm.
They give them a platform and they give them a voice and a little verification sticker, and they just go and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if either of you guys watch or pay attention to Twitter, but Antonio Brown is
It's
just
wild.
off the rocks on Twitter.
His Twitter is just insane.
His Twitter, his actions, and everything. I mean, he had an incident in the pool with a person a couple years ago now, but it was after all his stuff. I mean, that guy, he's definitely got some marbles that have been scrambled, and it's sad.
Yeah,
it is sad to see.
I saw him. He was getting interviewed by some guy like on the street, and the guy asked him like, "What's your favorite memory of what's your favorite football memory, NFL memory?" He's like, "I don't remember anything."
That's
like,
crazy.
I don't
That's
remember
sad.
any of it.
Really, I didn't
Yeah.
hear that. That's terrible.
It's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost wonder too if there needs to be an implementation of some of these players who kind of just go off the rails to try and figure out if this is related to football. Because
It has to be,
because like Kadarius Toney, look at Kadarius Toney. That guy just got arrested like 3 weeks ago for strangling a chick.
yeah.
But he didn't have like any issues before.
Mm.
Like in college, I don't think he had any issues at all.
No.
So
But
it's like
you think about it, like you look at football and how it's a contact sport, and then you look at like UFC,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't have CTE problems.
mm,
Why is that? They're getting kicked in the head for 10 minutes, and they don't have serious, like every once in a while you'll get one, but the NFL consistently has CTE problems every single year.
Why do you think that is?
Because there's not the proper safety measures.
Yeah.
Because there's something that there's a disconnect.
they're
somewhere.
missing something.
Yeah.
One key thing that would help the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I bet part of it is the concussions multiple times, even in practices growing up, especially in the past where they didn't take it seriously. I got knocked out. I was a quarterback. I got knocked out of a game. Didn't remember from a moment to a moment. I don't remember. And I was on the sidelines, and my coach said, "Do you want to go back in?" And I was knocked out. And I go, "Yeah." And I went in, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was a quarterback, and that's not the position where you can't know what you're doing. So I walked up, and I'm like, guess I'm talking to a guy, like, what do I do? And they let me play one play. That was the way it used to be. And so
It still is.
you know, and if you get one in practice, so imagine if you're going out for a team, and so you're in training camp and you're hitting each other as hard as you can. It's a different. I wonder in practices the protocols versus the game, because in practice you're fighting for your life, a position. You're one of the top 52, 53, and so you're hitting as hard as you can. If you get hit and you're not, I don't know if I'm going to make it next week or last. Are you telling your coach I'm hurt?
Probably not.
My bell rung. And so now you're running around with a concussion and you're continuing. And I bet that's what happens all the time. Versus in UFC, you have a 5 minutes, a couple rounds or whatever, and it's more limited to that fight, that time. But in the NFL, I bet people are getting a ton of concussions that they don't even report.
Yeah.
And so anyway, sad.
And people are more likely to like lead with their head and stuff because they have a helmet on, so they think they're safe.
Yeah, because I think
Right.
like rugby
True.
doesn't have anywhere near as many
No,
issues,
because
right?
you don't lead with your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, last week we talked a little bit about this, but the All-Star game. The All-Star game is a joke to watch. I'm talking basketball. All-Star game is absolutely atrociously bad basketball. I put Adam Silver is responsible to a certain degree, but the players, when Kobe retired, they stopped trying. And Kobe, if you watch right at the end, when Kobe was at the end and LeBron was at his peak, Kobe's guarding him full court every possession. He's right up in his grill. He's blocking his shot, stealing it, and he was into it. And he threw some expletives at LeBron at the end of the game to say shoot the ball sometimes. But he played all out, and they used to play. As soon as he left, it became the league stopped and trying. And I could go score 10 points in an All-Star game. How do I know I could score 10 points? They just let you do layups. I mean, there's not even trying to block shots. So it's not a fun product. Then going on to football in the NFL, I don't know what they can do there because it's a violent sport, but they don't do anything. It's flag football. That's a joke to watch. You're not watching these top players anymore, and they used to play and try to show who's the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it. And then you've got hockey, and you got these guys that only have 3 or 4 teeth remaining, and they're playing in these 4-nation games, and they are all out literally fighting brawls after brawls after brawl. They are playing for something. And what is different about the NHL versus, these other sports where they're a joke, and have the All-Star games to a degree lost their usefulness?
I don't know. This is the thing is like, there's got to be an incentive there for them, and I don't think there's enough of an incentive for them to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think part of it is they don't have that leader. So Magic and Isaiah made the All-Star game really exciting.
Yeah, but you can't have...
And then it was Michael Jordan, and then it was Kobe Bryant. Now the next leaders they're not forcing the action. So, you
can't have players be the leader though. That's just that's like saying when you go to work that the employees need to be the leaders. Well, that's not how that works.
That's where Adam Silver has something to do.
You have a manager, and the manager needs to be the leader.
And I agree. That's why I think Adam Silver has a degree. But I do also think the players need to step up and say, we've got for the betterment of the game, we got to try. And they're getting away with it. They're making $40, $50 million a year, and they don't try. And they're letting their own product, and they're hurting their own future. It's one of the things that I think is hurting the NBA with ratings and stuff is because they see what happens in actually the games, which is horrible, is way worse even in the All-Star game. And so it's a reminder of that. And
what might be a way now?
Yeah,
Cameron, hear me out. Let me know what you think. What they could do is they could do an All-Star game, and they could do like a mini Olympics. Hear me out. Come on.
okay.
And you could do the same thing in football. You could have European versus American.
Okay, kind of like what they're doing in hockey.
Yeah,
The
and
four nations.
and they probably would play all out.
I think that would help. So you're taking the patriotic approach
Yeah.
or whatnot. Yeah, you could do an all-star
If we're not,
game.
if you said bring me an option that doesn't mean we have to pay them more money,
Yeah,
that's where I'm going with.
yeah.
It's not going to work.
Why do you think it's not gonna work?
The players don't care.
Yeah, but they play so hard for the Olympics.
That's where I
yeah,
think.
it's different though.
I know.
I think
It's
part of
completely
it.
different. They get paid way too much to care. They don't. They have no skin in the game. If NBA ratings drop for
They don't
these
care.
All Stars, if NBA ratings drop, they don't care
Because they're getting
it
their
doesn't
check.
affect their paychecks.
That's why I
It
think.
doesn't. They don't care.
That's why I think part of it is the individual players. The star. It's a different whole personality of stars than they used to have.
The only game that's during that All-Star weekend that's actually good is the Rising Stars, just because it's a bunch of like first and second year players that are just like still on like $300,000 contracts and stuff.
They actually have something to prove still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's I don't know what they're going to do unless they get leadership. I will say Anthony Edwards is the type of guy they would go in the locker room and say, "We're all trying."
Yeah.
I think they need more, but because of the culture right now, the money that's being made, I don't know that you're going to be able to fix the problem. But then you go to the NHL, and the NHL, I mean, they're full on. I mean, they're throwing down multiple times during a game. What do you guys think about that All-Star game and the fact that they just go at it?
Well, they have the Four Nations thing.
Yes.
So, I mean, like that.
It's the patriotic part.
Yeah, it's the patriotic part that I think is what makes it go. And I mean, it's just hockey's different.
Yes.
It's just a different sport. This is the thing. You probably would still have football players try if it wasn't flag football now.
Right.
You know? Like
Yep.
the fact that it's flag football now removes any potential that some football players will try.
Right.
You know? So it's like, to be fair to the NFL, because it's a violent sport, they probably would have better luck with people trying if it wasn't flag football now.
I wonder if they could do some insurance thing too that could protect players, and if you play in a game, maybe you have a 5-10 year extension if you get hurt in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You know, something that could say, hey, you're 24 years old, but if you blow your ACL and you're projected to get this on your next contract for insurance purposes, but we want you to go all out for this.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
At the same time, I don't think that players only care about money. I think it's the big thing, but I don't think it's the only thing they care about. Because if they're making an All-Star game, they're in their prime. They're at the peak of their career, and they don't want to get hurt at the peak of their career and be another story of what if, you know. So they're not going to push themselves crazy because they're in a game with the best of the best, and you're putting yourself up against a player that maybe you only play once a year, and now you have to play them again with two other players that are equally as good, and it's just not fun. It's
just
enjoyable.
Just hard to watch. I mean, it was a lot more fun when you have a Kobe Bryant going to the hole and you have Dwayne Wade breaks his nose in an All-Star game. You don't see flagrant fouls very often, and then Kobe comes back in the game in the All-Star game. It's just different, and they are hurting their own brand.
What if they just got rid of it completely? Basketball and NFL.
NFL
And they replace it with something else completely different.
Like what?
I don't know.
A whole
I
bunch
don't
of
think
Mac McClungs that are not really NBA players that play hard.
No, I don't think the NFL should have like a full like football game.
Yeah.
I don't think that's smart. I think they should be doing like a skills thing,
Yeah.
like where they have the quarterbacks that do like the throwing and they have the receivers with the catching drills. You know, you have
Whatever happened to the good old days when they had the quarterbacks with the longest throw?
Yeah,
that
why
was
don't-
The
fun.
longest
They
throw,
do-
the accurate
they do-
throws. Yeah.
Make it like a carnival almost. Like make it a bunch of different like little mini games that these people are competing in, and then whoever has the most points, like consistent, like what's the word I'm looking for? Cumulative points wins the MVP,
Yeah, they used to do.
and that gets them to compete.
This wasn't necessarily a Pro Bowl, but they would have athletes go out and you'd have like the fastest man competition, which was fun. You can see you get Tyreek out there and these guys, that could be fun. And there could be a point system where you're doing that and you're doing certain drills, and that would be fun to see in the NFL. In the NBA, I wish they'd play.
Yeah.
I personally
They're
just
not-
really miss, but I think the culture and the money is too big. I don't think they ever will again.
That's what I'm saying is I think they should just wash it and
Yeah.
start new.
Yeah,
Because I just don't think you're going to get it back.
yeah.
So,
We have the 3-point contest. We have the dunks contest. We have the skills contest. And then, I don't know. I mean,
the problem
don't-
is the
I don't
skills
hate it.
contest is no one actually tries for the skill contest.
well, yeah, because people find loopholes. But if you remove the loopholes, people will try.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
always
But
gonna
because-
try. They did
Because
that
they
in the-
don't have to make the shots. They're not trying to make the shots.
That's why Chris Paul and them got they got
Disqualified,
disqualified for
Yeah.
cheating
I don't know. It's
while they're jogging, but they're
it
gonna
needs-
hurry anyway.
Someone much smarter than us needs to fix it.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, this last thing, I don't even know how to.
How do you
approach the
segment into
subject.
this?
This is tough. So I don't
Yeah,
want to
what's the
keep talking
segue
about
here?
this, but Bill Belichick. Okay. I know I'm talking about it, which is maybe going totally against what I'm even saying, but I can't unsee what I keep seeing. So I'm going to ask people to stop recording Bill Belichick in his personal life because I don't want to see it anymore. And I know I'm showing it, so this is hypocritical.
Yeah.
But Bill Belichick is now at a game, and it's not that this is that big of a deal, but he falls asleep. It only further adds to, what people are saying about his age. So he's here with his girlfriend, and you actually see them in the stadium walking, and his girlfriend is walking the way she's wearing her coat. It's halfway off, and it looks like just your teenager that you're sitting there saying, put your coat on, just walking around. And you got this guy that's closer to 80, and the other kid is closer to
20.
20, and you're being nicer than I was going to be, but junior high, I was going to say it's just so hard to watch. And I know they have the right to do what they want to do in their own business, but it is gross if you ask me. It's I know some people are like, great job, Bill, and there's no anyway, I've heard different people joke about his last name having chick in his last name. But I just think the whole thing is just really weird, and I can't unsee what I've seen. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I don't even know what to say. Are you guys comfortable with watching this?
I could care less.
This is
I'm gonna
all
be
you.
so honest.
Oh
I-
my gosh.
I could care less. The guy's gonna do what he's gonna do, and I don't care. I really don't.
That's good.
Imagine
You're better than me. It's hard for me to watch Gigi Pa out there with, Gigi. So it's just hard to watch for me. I can't say it. I don't know what else to say.
Imagine hiring him as a head coach, and you're the North Carolina owner or whatever,
Yeah.
president, and you're like, hey, so I just wanted to let you know we're really excited to have you here, Bill. Also, is your girlfriend going to be at class next week?
Yeah, Al Beta Phi or whatever. she just got in trouble for underage drinking. No, she's actually legal age.
It's the equivalent of me dating someone my grandma's age.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
crazy.
It's just anyway. So I just more my thing. I know that we're talking about it. I'm saying this. I want to say this for the last time, but I'm just asking, please, nobody record them anymore. He's gonna fall asleep. He's gonna be in a rocking chair. He's pretty old. She's pretty young. Please don't show it to me anymore. Just please.
His heart medication's got me wild.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, well, we will be talking next week more about the NFL draft coming up. Basketball, as it's continuing to heat up, we'll see who keeps separating themselves from the rest of the class. And look forward to seeing you. Please hit that subscribe button again if you like what you see. Thank you guys for all your support, and we will see you next week.